A lot of people at the moment are coming to us and saying, how do I pick my service provider? How do I choose my professional? Whether you're a business owner and you're looking for a marketing agency, someone to do external sales training or sales support, whatever that might be, we're going to cover off a framework in this episode today.
I don't know how someone can come to you and say, I am the perfect person to fix your problem until they actually know what that problem is. So it's price v cost, isn't it? The price is, say, 10 grand to find that person. The cost is your time interviewing 5 dud candidates. And then let's say you hire one of those, it demoralise the people around them. Extra training's got to be provided, which takes your superstar project manager away. Potentially, if he misses a design detail because of this training, that could cost you $1 million.
It's so powerful for a salesperson to go, hey, look, I can tell you how amazing I think I am or how good my process is, but you've heard it all before, right? Everyone says that. Why don't you go and call Dave? I've got results for him. Go and ask him as many questions as you want. Here we go. The lads are back.
2 blokes, 1 business.
Yes, get in there. We've actually got the big man Jimmy in the studio today. He's doing some behind the scenes footage. We were planning to have Sergi here as well to do some behind the scenes footage, but he cancelled on us. So
no hard feelings, Sergi.
just got to get it done, haven't you?
Here we go.
Bosh.
What's been going on?
I'm hopefully buying a house this week.
Fuck, I think hopefully too.
Why?
I'm sick of hearing about it.
Mate, it is actually, we talk a lot about balance and mental well-being on this podcast. I'm getting drained with it. I'm getting so drained. Like I'm lucky I've got Jesse who's helping us, who's a good friend of ours, who's a real estate agent, because some of them out there are just, they just play with you. And I'm just like, come on, mate.
That sounds all right.
And there it is. Podcast has gone downhill again. What was that? 25 seconds. Yeah, so now hopefully we get it done this week, mate. I'm over it.
I know you don't. I know you really, really well. And you get excited very easily. And when there's an idea, I swear this house is meant to be 6 months away. But I was like, as soon as you start talking about it, I said, nah, that's going to be a month or 2. You can't just relax. You get excited, you start.
Yeah, I think I talked myself up and then I just like talked myself into it and I'm like, oh, come on, let's go.
A real estate agent's dream, I reckon.
Yeah, maybe that's what I think. I think some of them are annoying because I'm just a kipper, like they do me.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
But you found the one?
I think so. Yeah. Hopefully we get it sorted this week. Second baby's on the way. Like second baby's 6 weeks, I think, mate.
Shit.
So that's kind of where we were just like, once second bub is here, trying to get to open homes and stuff like that with Blakey and a newborn, it's probably not going to happen. So we're like, it's now or it gets put on hold for 6 to 9 months.
And you can't do that.
Oh, I'd go mad.
Nice.
But I heard some big news actually from the Fit Stop community this week. I think they posted it on their national channels.
Yeah, it's probably gone viral.
Yeah, and that is Adam Powell's 200th Fit Stop session.
What can I say? Hard work, commitment, consistency. It's just the ingredients of a successful fit stopper. And you're looking at one.
How do you feel, mate? You feel good?
Mate, I feel class. I really do. Like physically best nick I've ever been in. And just the energy that gives you for the rest of life as well. And look, we live on the Gold Coast, right? Like you pretty much spend half of your life half naked. So it's definitely nice.
Jesus Christ, mate.
You do though, right? Like it's always 20 degrees. The beaches are always beautiful other than right now because of Cyclone Alfred. So you've always got your shirt off. You're always walking around in the sun. And never that I've ever been like massively insecure before, but it's definitely nice knowing that you think you're looking decent, Nick, when you are bowling around.
Yeah. Do you reckon some of the other fit stoppers there are just like, oh, that's that guy from 2 Blokes, 1 Business. I think he's got a really successful podcast.
And he's also probably a bit of a twat. Yeah, you're definitely right. But that's good.
Yeah.
And what else, mate? We've got a big one. Big announcement.
Yeah. New hire.
Katie Dunning, another POM, joining the ranks.
Yeah, we all stick together, don't we?
100%. You got to look after one another.
Mate, she's going to be class. She's moved over from London, so she's made the same move as us. I think even just to do that or even consider that tells you a lot about a person. It's 3 years recruitment experience, I think it is, in London, where from all accounts, we never experienced that, but it's cutthroat, it's brutal. They're working 10-hour days, it's non-stop. I think if she can bring that intensity, mix it with the kind of process we go through and that level of service and level of quality that we put a massive emphasis on at Harwell, I think she's going to blow a few Aussie recruiters out of the water.
I said this to her face, to be fair. I said, I think you're the best recruiter we've hired, other than Andy. Obviously, because she's only 360, right? Chloe, amazing at what she does. The best with the candidates, same for Jax. And Lance, we've kind of trained them up and now they're absolute weapons. But in terms of put someone through the door, on paper, she's the strongest we've got. So she's already got the foundation and the ingredients to be amazing. I think as soon as we can, Harwellify, if that's the word, and just change up.
Harwellify.
That's good.
Cons is going to have a nightmare trying to do subtitles on that one.
HARWE. I think she'll be an absolute weapon. And even outside of recruitment, right? For us, the person we're bringing in has been so important. She's training for, I think she's done a half marathon. Was she training for one?
She did a half marathon back in England.
Training for High Rocks. Which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Again, just loves the Gold Coast life as well. She's come over from England like we did, and you kind of pinch yourself that this is home. And I think for her, she's kind of got that chip on the shoulder. She's got a point to prove to make this work long term, which I guess as the employer, right? That's kind of a bit of a good thing.
Yeah, I love her energy as well. Like when we first sat down with her, I think it was in the middle of the cyclone, and we were like, oh, we could just do it at this cafe. And she was like, yeah, no, like, oh, I'm worried about the cyclone. She was out there, go get it. And just her energy, mate. We sat there for an hour, and I think she'll walk into client meetings, or she walks into a room and she'll lighten the room and bring people up a couple of levels. And I think, yes, she's going to be a gun recruiter, give a great service. But I think if her clients can associate her with, every time I have a dealing with Katie, I just feel lifted for whatever reason. I think that's as powerful as she also gives me the best candidates.
Mate, 100% bang on. But we're not stopping there, are we? So this is a bit, this is a bit of a pitch, really. So we are looking to grow a little bit more. We are looking to bring on 1, maybe 2 recruiters, or if that's a 360, 180, if you do know what you're talking about in the recruitment world, and a full-time social media coordinator,
manager, guru, gun, just someone basically to just do socials.
We're boomers, basically. We've got big Jimmy B behind the camera, G-Media. Check him out. They're unreal. But he's big on the content side. He wants to build that business. Fantastic. We need someone then to get all the content he does shoot out to everyone. I mean, the copy being written to an extent, and someone who understands the analytics, when to post, what goes well. Because we just haven't got a fucking clue, have we?
No, we've got loads of ideas, and it's also the time of putting it into action. Like, I think we need someone that has experience, might be in a larger company, and they've like, I've got loads of ideas, but I just feel like I've got the shackles are on, and they've got the kind of capability to bring a brand strategy and implement that and probably lead us to a certain extent, but really make the social media function their own. Obviously with our guidance around what the business is and what we're trying to achieve by it, but we want them to really run with it and supercharge the brand to the next level. We're going through a rebrand at the moment where we're splitting up some business divisions so we can really niche in on a couple of areas. So with that brings more volume of content, more targeted content, different platforms. So yeah, it's beyond us now, mate. We're just 2 idiot recruiters, aren't we?
We're about to be on TikTok. Here we go.
TikTok. I haven't even got the app downloaded on my phone.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So if you know anyone, fire my way and we'll have to have a chat. But what's today, mate? What problems of the world are we going to tackle and solve for our millions of listeners?
We try and pick the topics for these episodes of what people probably ask us most, I think. And we felt a lot of people at the moment are kind of coming to us and saying, how do I pick my service provider? How do I choose my professional, for example? Whether you're a business owner and you're looking for a marketing agency, whether you're looking for someone to do external sales training or sales support, or whether you're looking to buy a house, get on the property. Here I go again. Ads is like, for fuck's sake. Whether you're looking to buy a house, you need a broker, you need a buyer's agent, whatever that might be, we're going to try and cover off a framework or some red flags to look out for or some green flags to look out for in this episode today.
And even some questions to ask as well. I know there's ones that we always suggest to our clients at Harwell. If you are going to speak to recruiters, yes, speak to us. We'd love to work with you if you're the right client for sure. But even for anyone else, ask them about their process in terms of their discovery. Ask them, the level of depth they go to with the candidates. Ask them about the technical knowledge. There's so many little 1%ers you can implement, which is going to make your life so much easier because then you're dealing with people who actually get it.
Yeah, that's it. And then at the end of the episode today, mate, we've got our first little feature section. Last week, we put it out there at the end of the episode. I was like, if anyone's still listening, send us some questions. and we've actually got some. So we've picked 3. 2 of them are extremely high-level business ones, and one of them's a good funny one that we'll dig into at the end of the episode. But how to choose your professional, mate?
I think it all starts at the start.
Yeah.
Would you believe it? The discovery, right? I don't know how someone can come to you and say, I am the perfect person to fix your problem until they actually know what that problem is. And we see it so much, particularly in the recruitment world. I've got the perfect candidate. I've got this person. I'm the perfect recruiter. And all they've done is send a LinkedIn message, and there's no depth in terms of understanding what the business does, what their current recruitment strategy and process is, what they're looking to do as a business, because what they're doing right now might not be what they'll be doing in 5 years. So you've got to have someone who can go with them kind of on that journey as well. So the level of your questions at the start, that's the only way you can find out if you're actually the right person for the job.
What does the ideal discovery then look? If you're Mr. Adam Powell, I've inquired, hello, I need a project manager. I'm going to build
They all sound like that.
I'm going to build a tower. What do you run through?
There's probably 5 stages to it. And we can go into a lot of depth here. Maybe it's probably its own podcast in itself, right? We love this stage of it because it's where you really work out whether this client's perfect for you. And if they are, that's when you get really excited. And if they're not, great, go and speak to ABC down the road because they are the type of person you want to work with. But the 5 stages will be, what have they previously done? So how have you got to this point? What have they done? What have they tried? Why has it not worked? What are they doing right now? What they want to do in the future? Like what's the future, I guess, state look like for them?
Yeah.
What if they don't do anything about it? What's that cost of inaction if they don't fix this problem? And then when you've kind of covered all of that, what does the perfect partner look like? And without kind of giving away all the secrets, if you can do that in the right sequence, ask the right questions, get to the right depth. So it's not just your service level questions. Okay, well, why is that important to you? And then what if you don't change? What's the impact that's going to have on your personal life? What does that mean for your kids? Really get the emotion and the meaning behind it. If you do that properly, by the end of that last question, everyone's going to feel pretty comfortable that you either are or you're not the right person to move forwards.
And in what sort of setting would you do that? And to be honest, probably even before you get to this setting, there's another stage that someone should be doing with you.
Go on.
Well, it's a pre-discovery. And I'm talking, this is at the very, very start of the relationship. So whether it's a inbound lead from your website or your marketing or a referral, I think before you really dive into all of that high detail stuff, at the risk of wasting someone's time, I like to do a pre-discovery call, 10 minutes, feel them out. What do you think you need? What have you done before? Sort of at a very high level, or probably why are we here? What made you inquire on us today? Because I think for us, and it's the same, we do this with clients and candidates, it's that 10-minute pre-discovery to make sure we're even in the right stratosphere before we go and sit down with you for an hour and potentially waste an hour of your time.
Yeah, bang on. And I guess when you've done that, then they've kind of got a bit of context of why they should spend an hour. One of my favourite quotes at the moment, here's another one
Here
for you.
Here we go. Get the tattoo gun ready.
Watch me butcher this. There's only 3 things in life that you can offer someone. Offer them money, offer them your time, and then offer them your energy. And that's probably the most important, right? Anyone can give someone $100, right? There you go. Not to give too much thought behind it. You can give someone your time as well. So important. But if you're giving them time without your actual energy in the moment as well, you wasted everyone's time because you're not engaged. You're not actually trying to help fix a problem or understand what they need. But to give someone your energy, that's really priceless.
Yeah, I love it. So let's talk. If I am trying to buy my first house, for example, you're a buyer's agent. That discovery of that sit down face-to-face for an hour, for example, let's go through those stages and really dumb it down for people.
So my first question, what have you done so far, Harv, to buy this house?
Oh, God. I've been looking for 6 months now. I've done 58 open homes. I'm just really struggling to find the right house.
58 is probably light on.
My problem is I want a $3 million house for $1.8 million.
Bang on. Why have you done that? Why is it important to go and find this perfect house?
So family's expanding. We need a bigger house. We need a bigger property.
What does a bigger property give you?
Space, future, in terms of room for more growth, potential to have a bigger family, probably happiness in terms of being able to invite friends over with their families.
Why would you want to invite your friends and their families over? What is that going to do for you?
Well, it's just memories, right? Memories with the family, memories with friends.
And why do you think that's
Come on,
important?
Mr. Discovery.
And why is that important, mate? Building those things with your kids and your family.
I think it's the future. Like it's what can you look back on and build a happy life. See how that journey we've gone on already. We've just gone from I'm the bright Mr. Real Estate for you, to you're unearthing the real reasons behind the why.
And that's 5 questions, right? There's another 20 to go. But again, it's not about the cost of the house, right? I think to influence someone, you really understand what the decision is going to give them, and then what that is going to give them after that as well. And what I mean by that is you're going to spend, say, $1 million on a house. Great, you're going to have $1 million house. But if you're going to move into this $1 million house, that's going to give you the space to have a bigger family, which is then going to give you more memories of your kids, which is then going to, it rolls on and rolls on. The sooner you can get to the emotional attachment to the buying decision, that's really when you start to truly understand if you can help someone and what they're looking for, I think.
There's different levels to it, right? Even in terms of the business sense. Like one that springs to mind, I did a high-level CFO role for a fashion brand, and it was not the sense of what memories could this give me, but it's the time it gave the founder back. They were able to travel the world, launch new fashion lines, and offer the company growth and put millions of dollars potentially back in their pockets. So it's the same framework that we ran through. Why do we need a CFO? Okay, the last person wasn't giving me enough strategic insight into how I can grow into new markets, geographically as well as product-wise. I need someone that's operated in a business that's 5 times my size, because that's where I want to be. It's that growth that you can unlock with the right people. But again, so many recruiters in our world would just go through the door and go, what are the 10 things on a job description you want this person to do? Oh, financial strategy. Yeah, tick. Okay. Financial compliance. Yeah, no worries. But it's actually, why do they need to do financial strategy? What's that going to achieve for you? How will that impact your life?
Yeah.
There's just depth, isn't there?
And the answer there might be, I need someone to do the financial strategy because at the moment I'm doing it, which means I'm working a 14-hour day, which means I can't take Charlie to football training, which means I miss out on quality time, at this peak stage of his life. That's the reason. That's why they need this person, not because they're working too hard.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good tangent, mate. I feel like we're giving a bit of good.
I reckon we actually do a full pod on this one. We spend the hour and we go into every step. But before we move on, I think one that I found scary to ask at the start, or a bit awkward because it kind of disrupts the flow, is, well, why bother? Why hire a CFO? What if we just don't? What if we don't change anything? And this is creating the gap, which Ryan Tuckwood at Swish talks about really well. They've got to feel where they are currently to where they want to be. They've got to feel there's a big enough gap to motivate them to make a decision to change it.
Yeah, it's the saying, obviously, people are more likely to move away from pain than they are to move to pleasure. But it's great as well, a good discovery meeting with a client, and even sometimes our candidates, like they come away and going, some of the questions you asked actually made me really reflect about my business or the way I'm doing things or my career, my experience, and how I articulate that. So even a good discovery, even if they don't end up working with us, it's great that impact can have on these people for their next interview or their next hire.
And I think sales training, you're trying to learn how to get people to do things they don't want to do. That's the impression of it, right? That's, I'm doing a lot of sales training. It's because you want to push people into things that aren't right. But really what it actually is, it's learning the level of questions to ask to get people to understand what they actually want. And then if you can help with what they want, then you can show them how you may be able to fix it.
Yeah. It's so much more fun as well. Like there's nothing better when you're across the table from someone and you're asking the right questions and you're digging deeper and you just see their eyes light up because you can see their brain starting to tick. I know Matt Cossins, who we use as our external interviewer, he loves it. He just digs deeper. He's like, and why? And why? And why? And it's just keep going until you find the real cause.
So good. But that's discovery. So that's the first one. If they're not getting to that kind of depth, and look, not everyone will, right? Some people can be very good and probably not spend an hour with you on a discovery call. We personally think that's the way we want to do business. But then what's stage 2, mate? What's the next step to finding out if someone is the real deal?
I'd say it's the values. I think we say a lot at Harwell, we only work with people who align with us as people and as a brand, right? You do your best work when you're working with people that you like. Looking back to our football days, the teams that everyone got together and it was just one unit, they're the teams that were top of the league. We won leagues with an average team at times just because everyone was in and we all had the same values. We were all working towards the same mission. Whereas you can have a team of superstars, they're all knobheads. You don't get on with them and you underperform. So I think unearthing the values of a business or the leader or the person that you're trying to work with is so, so important. And I don't think, going back to discovery, if you don't spend good quality time with them face to face, I don't know how you do that.
And probably understanding the level of relationship that person wants. I know we've done a lot of work now in terms of working with people as partners. Yes, we're a service and we're a supplier essentially, but it's not that kind of subservient master relationship where you say jump and we say, hey, how high? Again, some people do think that's the best way to work, and good on you. Whereas I like to challenge the clients we work with and the candidates we work with as well. Actually, have you considered this? Actually, I think this could be a better plan of attack to get that outcome that you want. And I know what you want because we've just done the hour-long discovery call. So I think understanding how they operate with their other suppliers, service providers, plumbers, real estate agents, whatever it is, that can kind of give you the gauge of, I guess, the level of importance they place on that relationship as well.
Yeah. And I think people within the company being able to articulate the value of the company or the mission of the company like that. Like, we've done a lot of work ourselves on rebuilding our values, because I think we use ChatGPT to create a Harwell acronym for our original values. And we've reflected and we were like, they just don't mean anything to us. So how can we actually manufacture values that genuinely mean something and they talk about our business? So when we're in a client meeting and I say to someone, what are the values of the company? What's the mission? When the CFO can rattle it straight off, or the founder visibly gets so passionate when they're talking about it straight away, it's so much more impactful than, oh yeah, I don't know, they're on our website, just check them out.
And if they're excited, that makes you excited, right? And again, talking back to what we do at Harwell, is we represent that company to the market. So if we don't ask the right questions to understand what the values are and what the feel to the office is, one, how can we then go and share that to the market? But two, how do we do that and represent you guys in the best light? Like, there's so much positive and negative that can come, whether it's a recruiter, a real estate agent, or anyone who represents your company when you're not there, that can have on the overall reputation of the business. So you want to know the people who are going to be speaking about you, one, understand what the company's about, and two, are just as excited as well, I think.
And there is genuinely an art to how you present a company to the market or to someone on the phone. And I think sometimes we can probably do it better than what they can about their own brand. Like, how many people in life say, oh, it's so hard to talk about myself and what I'm good at? It's the same in business. I remember the first time we did some video content and Blake was like, why should people use Harwell? We're like, I don't know. But it's like, if you told me, why should people use X Recruiter? I can just flow for hours. And it's the ability to storytell and present the journey of a company, where they've come from, where they're at now, and where the future state is. I did it on the phone the other day with a candidate for a high-level GM role. We're helping lovely couple, Erin and Dan, at the moment, hire their first GM into their business, which it's make or break, really. That's how seriously we take these roles. Like, this person could really supercharge their business, which is going to change their lives and their kids' lives.
And again, let's talk about that, right? And that's a really perfect point. So we went and sat down with Dan and Erin, did this discovery call. So what's the drivers? Why do they need a GM, and what could that do for them professionally, but also personally?
Yeah, so Erin's about to have their third child. They've grown the business to a point now where they need someone in there, and Erin's gone, I want to focus on being a mum. I still want to be the business owner and involved to a certain capacity, but we need someone that can kind of lead this business. Has probably got a skill set in business leadership beyond ours, because they were very honest with, they've got the business this far. Dan loves to embed himself in the design. That's his passion. He knows his superpower. And again, Erin's priorities is with the family. So it's this person who's going to create long-lasting family memories, more time with the kids, which is so, so powerful.
Bang, done. That's the pitch. Clip that up, send that to every client we ever work with. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's it. But I was talking to someone on the phone and I was just telling them this story, and the fella said, mate, you've given me goosebumps in the way that you've presented this story, and I feel so connected to them already. And that's where that level of discovery is so important, rather than just, it's aluminium manufacturing, they do gates, they're the best of what they do in the company or in the industry, blah, 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 blah. Here's a job brief. You don't get the buy-in, mate.
So surgical, isn't it? So just logical is probably the way to describe it. Great, this is the nuts and bolts. These are the figures. These are the stats. great. And that is enough to get some people interested. But to really get the true buy-in where they go above and beyond to put themselves in the window, that's the magic.
Yeah, and I know we've found ourselves back at Discovery, and that probably highlights the importance, but that comes from the value alignment between our business, where we've put everything on the line. We've brought people into this business. We're responsible for our family, our mortgage, our partners, but we're also responsible for our staff's family. And I think we probably see that in Erin and Dan. Like, they're a husband and wife. They had previous careers, and they've gone all in on this business. And they've now built a team, and it's a super successful business. So because we can feel that alignment, you can tell I'm so like even passionate and motivated the way I'm talking about it now. Like, I want to fucking get a result for these guys. And I think if you can find that same connection in an external provider, whether it's a marketing agency, whether it's a buyer's agent, I don't know, whether it's a fucking personal trainer, like if you can feel that connection, the end goal and even the journey to get there is going to be so much more powerful for both sides of the relationship.
That's gold. One thing that popped into my head then was the first ever interview we had at Harwell Consulting when we tried to hire the first person. I don't know if you can remember it. His name is Mark Madge, good friend of ours.
This is good.
And this is talking about how it's so easy to talk about Schmidt Aluminium with Erin and Dan. So hard to talk about yourself unless you do the work to understand, one, what the business is, but two, how to deliver it as well. Essentially, you're still selling at that point, even though you're just talking about the company. And I think we had the poor fella there for 2.5 hours. I think we had a PowerPoint presentation out for a Goji Cafe around the corner from mine in Clear Island Waters. Beautiful little suburban spot, leafy joint there. What a scenario to get our first employee. And Mark's very analytical, logical, and we just peppered him. We absolutely peppered him with stats, info, journey, the role. We had the CRM up. We're going, mate, this is where you call candidates. And this guy doesn't know recruitment, right? So he sat there, his mind's blown. At the end of 2.5 hours, we're like, so what do you reckon, mate? Do you want to come on board?
And he was just like, I think I have to go have a think about this, boys. There's been a lot of information there I need to digest. And we're like, oh, right, okay. I think we were generally thinking, like, waiting for him to get his pen out and go, where do I sign?
Well, we were so excited about it, right? We're just running through this and that, and this is what we're going to do, and this is why we're so different, and this is our marketing. We were like, I can't believe you're not begging us to work for us. But obviously it's information overload, and really what we should have done, looking back now, is find out what he wanted to know. You know, rather than tell him every single thing about what we could do, mate, what's the 3 most important things to you in this one? Oh, it's going to be long-term security. You're a new company. Perfect. It's going to be your training because I don't know recruitment. Awesome, we can do that. And it's going to be my potential earnings. Bang. And we just spent an hour talking about those 3 things and answered any questions that popped up about everything else. I'm not saying we would have got him over the line because looking back, it's not the right thing for him. It wasn't the right thing for us. So things always work out for the best. But that was a massive learning curve for us, eh?
Yeah, and that just shows how much we've grown as a business and our process in such a short time, because I think we were maybe 2 or 3 months in at the time. And the amount of personal development and coaching we've had, if I'd have ran that process with a client, or some of the questions now that we ask our clients that we could have asked Mark, could have provided such a better experience or potentially a better outcome from that as well. I think there's a second part to values.
Go on.
And I think that is the person you're potentially partnering with. Do they value your service as a profession? And I'd probably say this from a selfish point of view, because everyone in the world has experienced a rubbish recruiter at some point in their career, whether that's through hiring or whether that's through being a job seeker. And I think because of that, we always have people trying to get into a race to the bottom. Oh, I'm looking for this person. I'm speaking to a few recruiters. What's the best rate you can do? And do you know what? At the start of Harwell, we probably bought into that, and we needed to get the work on. So we were like, oh, what can we do? Oh, we work with these guys at this level, blah, blah, blah. But now I think our response is, well, are we looking for the best rate or are we looking for the best person? And I have full confidence in saying to a client, the person that's going to give you the best rate, there's probably a reason for that. Yeah. They're struggling for work or need work on, as we were at the start of our journey. And if they're happy to drop their rates to a 10%, for example, they're probably going to give you a service that reflects 10%. Because if they genuinely believe that they were giving you a top tier service, you wouldn't be paying them 10%.
So it's price v cost, isn't it? That's the price. The price is 10%, let's say 10 grand. That's the price you're going to pay a recruiter to find that person. But what's the cost? The cost is your time interviewing 5 dud candidates, which is potentially 5 hours a week. What's your hourly rate? What are you in the business to do? Because that's time away from doing that. So that's a cost to the business. And then let's say you hire one of those and then they don't work out. They're in the office. They're not the right culture fit. They demoralize the people around them. Other people drop 5% of their performance levels because this person is just not a fit. Extra training has got to be provided for this person, which takes your superstar project manager away because they're training someone on pretty basic stuff, which they should already know. So what's his hourly rate and cost of the business by not doing high-level design meetings and client meetings and fixing issues on site? Potentially, if he misses a design detail because of this training, that could cost you $1 million. Bang, like that in construction. And then the person leaves. So then you've got the fallout of the team environment. Someone's come in and gone. That's never nice for any environment. And then guess what? You're back to square one. You're going all over again.
Yeah.
That's the cost.
And the difference, and that's all that scenario you've just spoke about. That's what the difference between someone trying to offer you 2 or 3% less, which based on our average fees might be $5,000 maybe, which to a massive business is a drop in the ocean. And I think it's so, even if, we're talking in business sense, we're talking in recruitment sense, because that's natural to us, that's easy for us to understand. But even if someone is, I don't know, looking for a new set of teeth, like I went and took myself and got a new set of teeth 6 months ago, are you going to go to the person that offers the cheapest rate, or the person that's got amazing reviews, has a premium price because they deliver a premium product? Because you got that smile forever.
Yeah.
I know where I'm going.
100%. And even back in the construction, let's talk about subcontractors, right? You want to looking for a chippy. Great, you can get the cheapest guy, but then what issue is that going to cause down the track? Or you can pay the top tier subby who's got good reputation, they work on the best projects, they can resource a job properly. That's the cheaper option. That's the more cost effective answer rather than going with a guy who'd knock 20% off the invoice to get the job. Which I think it's really easy to sit here and say, oh yeah, we'll just pay more money and get a better service. But then it's down to you as the recruiter, as the cheapie, as the dentist, to show that value and show actually understand why they're charging that. This is why we charge a little bit more, and it's because of A, B, C, and because this end result is what you're going to get with us compared to what you might get with the first person.
That's what I was going to ask you, is what's the other end of the spectrum here, where someone's just going to chance it and they might be a cowboy, but they're going to try and charge you 25% to recruit a role, but they have nothing to back up, and they just go, oh, let's pay the high rate because it must be a better service.
And I've done that before in buying bits and pieces. I go, oh, you know what? If I get this wrong, it's going to be a bit of a ball ache. This one's more expensive. It must be better. And you kind of just go for it, and then it fucks up anyway, and you go, shit, what was the point in that? So you've still got to do the due diligence, right? You've still got to put the pressure on them to do that. Discovery call we're talking about again. Are the values aligned? Is the price valuable for the end result? There's so much work to do.
And we're back to discovery. Get in there. But again, that's the number one red flag. Any service provider, whether it's a mortgage broker and you're doing a home loan. When I use Cole at Arch Brokerage, he's absolute gun at what he does. First thing he said, well, we did a 20-minute phone call, sussing out what we were looking for. So, mate, come down to my office. Let's sit down face-to-face and run through it. If any service provider is not going to do that face-to-face or over a video call, that is the number one red flag for me.
Bang on. What else? What other red flags are there? Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the show. Now, while I got your attention, apart from being professional podcasters, we also run a recruitment agency called Blokes Consulting.
Yeah, we're super lucky that we get to partner with some of Australia's most well-known brands and biggest organisations. So if you're keen to hear a little bit more about how we add value to their teams and businesses with the right people, we'll put the links in the show notes, or you can check us out at www.harwellconsulting.com.au. Now enjoy the rest of the show. Oh, when someone goes, Sasha Caraba actually asked us when we were on his podcast, he said, mate, I get recruiters hitting me up all the time. They say, hey, I'm the perfect recruiter for you, or I've got the perfect candidate for your business. He's like, how do I spot the bad ones? And I'm like, right there. They just said it. Like, it's the first time they're ever speaking to you. How do they know it's a perfect candidate? They don't know anything about your business to tell that candidate about your business, because the candidate might go, actually, don't like the sound of that. They don't know about your business to be able to match the right person anyway. So anyone that walks through a door, I have the perfect deal for you. No, you haven't, mate. There's the red flag.
You bang on. Probably time in the seat as well. We all started out somewhere and we all needed to get runs on the board early doors. And I guess what you do have if you're starting out early is that energy and the work ethic. I know one of my favorite sentences early on was, I haven't been doing this for 10 years, but I can tell you now I work harder than every single other person to go and get the right result. So if you haven't got runs on the board, it's not the end of the world. You've just got to own what you do have and not pretend you're this person with 50 years experience. But again, if you're looking for the perfect service provider, ideally, there'd be someone with runs on the board, whether that's 5 years, more or less, and the work ethic rather than just one or the other.
And it's leaning into what you've done in the past. Like I'm in the process at the moment of starting a new division for Harwell in the e-com space, where we've worked with some of the biggest brands in Australia quite recently on some high-level finance roles or leadership roles. And we've done well in that space, and they've asked us to recruit across their whole business. So we've tried it, we've tested it, it's worked. And now I've gone, I think there's a space for an e-com division which supports brands nationally. And I'm having conversations with people and I'm being honest. I'm saying, hey, have I ever recruited an art director role before? Absolutely not. Can I follow the same process that got you really high level results for the CFO role we did for your company? Absolutely. Do I know your company inside and out to be able to present that in the right light to the market and probably get more buy-in from potential candidates than the recruiter that's doing a half-assed job? Most definitely. And with that authenticity and the vulnerability to present it in that light, people are going, yeah, do you know what? Let's have a crack.
Let's give them a go. Mate, one thing I want to cover, and this is a very controversial one, particularly in the recruitment world, is that generalist versus the specialist. Now, pretty upfront, we're quite big on the specialist answer there. We think inch wide, mile deep, right? That's kind of the philosophy we've got. I only do commercial construction, developer builders, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and developer builders. That's my bread and butter. Yours, senior finance and exec level roles across all industries. That's your bread and butter. There are companies out there are businesses out there who do, hey, I can go and do everything you need. Any recruitment, I can do it. Whether that's, a labourer on site to your CEO, to your office manager in the middle. Why would someone choose to do that, mate? And who is that the right answer for as a customer? Who needs to use a generalist, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's dependent on a number of different variables. I think the market in terms of probably the size of wherever you're recruiting. I had a good chat with Riley. He's got a super, super successful recruitment business down in Wagga Wagga, and that's a perfect environment for them to be generalists. I don't know specifically, but I don't think there's any massive, massive businesses down there. They need people or an agency that can know the area, know their business inside out, and probably be a one-stop shop. He's opened a Gold Coast division, and I said, mate, I think from what I know recruiting on the Gold Coast, I think you need to pick a niche and specialize, whether that's small businesses, large businesses, a sector in terms of a certain type of role, brokerage, I don't know, but it's being able to articulate that high level value you can bring as a specialist, as a niche. I think that's the magic. Even you look at marketing agencies, there are marketing agencies that are specifically targeting construction clients because they have a method or they have things they've tried and tested that they can rinse and repeat on different businesses. The way you market a construction business would be a completely different way to the way you'd market an accountancy firm. So I think that's dependent on a number of different things of whether you niche or not, or what you niche in.
What about other industries rather than recruitment? Because I appreciate it's our life. It might not be everyone's life who's listening to this. Real estate, again, probably similar thing. Colossia, a company that we try and model and emulate a little bit at Harwell. We think they're kind of leading the way. They've got the best branding that we feel as well, and the way they've kind of set up to be high performing. Their niche, the best property on the Gold Coast, $1 million plus, whatever it might be. They don't necessarily play in some of the smaller investor stock, So I think the power of niching down and being known for something potentially gives a clearer message to the market rather than saying, yeah, if you're looking to buy any kind of property, we're the one for you.
But even within Colossia, they niche even further.
True.
You've got, I think, a fella called, we've been looking at properties in Wurrungary. Brad Coyne is a name. I've never met the bloke in my life, never spoke to him, but he's a name that I remember because he is the niche guy, go-to guy for properties in Talai, Wurrungary. So even within a niche brand, they've all got their own micro niches, and it's so powerful. Anyone selling in Wurrungary goes, okay, that's the guy that sells every other house around here. I'm probably going to use him.
So that's still backing ourselves up with the specialist chat, isn't it? We're not giving very unbiased.
Yeah.
Feedback on the generalists. I think if you're a smaller company and you maybe don't recruit a massive volume of roles, and if it's quite a small team, that's probably perfect for a generalist as well. As I said, come in, learn the whole company and how that all fits together. What do you reckon? I'm kind of struggling here, which isn't very fair.
I think we're probably saying specialist is the way to go. From our experiences, we've never operated. If I'd have recruited back in Hereford, my hometown, where it's not a massive economic city, I probably would be going, actually, a generalist is maybe what gets the best results.
I'm trying to think of other like trade businesses as well. I think even Sparkies, you have commercial or you have resi.
Yeah.
Plumbers, pretty similar. I'm sure you could do both, I guess. If you're a commercial, I think you do resi. But I don't think you do, right? I think you kind of find your niche, you get really good at it. Because that's where the fulfillment comes, I guess, at the end of the day. For us, I think being so niche and being so specialist, you get to build a reputation within that niche as well. Like people know what I do. If they know about Harwell and Adam Powell and construction, they kind of understand what I do already. So I don't really get many calls from people asking me to do an arts director, right? Because people know that's not really what I'm about. So the people, like the conversation I do have, it's normally really relevant to the candidates, the clients I speak to and the work I do. So I think there's power in just being focused.
I think that's it. I think we've settled the debate there for that one.
Sorry, Riley.
The last point, proof, testimonials. Talk to me about that.
On the candidate side, it's reference checks. So putting that into being a supplier or a recruiter who has used your service, who someone else can call and go and give positive feedback or honest feedback on the experience they delivered. It's not something that's used enough, I don't think, proactively. Again, I'm talking about recruiters here in terms of going, hey, Mr. Client, you build high-rise projects. Well, why don't you call this director of another company who builds high-rise projects and ask him what my communication was like. Ask him about the depth of discovery. Ask him about the quality of their candidates. Ask him about how I represented the business in the market. How powerful is that? So it's not then you saying, oh, I'm Adam and I'm so good. Hopefully you've got someone who's worked with you and experienced it firsthand doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And I think that sticks. People are so used to people who just talk about themselves and how good they are and why they should be used. Whereas if you can get that third party doing that for you, that's where the magic comes.
Yeah, I think consumer behavior has changed in the way people don't like being sold to by the salesperson. I think it's so powerful for a salesperson to go, hey, look, I can tell you how amazing I think I am or how good my process is or we're the best in the business. But you've heard it all before, right? Everyone says that. Why don't you go and call Dave? I've got results for him. Go and ask him as many questions as you want. And ask him what I was rubbish at as well, because that's good feedback for me, but it's probably builds a real picture. No one's perfect. We ask candidates or on reference checks, what did the candidate need support with or what weren't they great at? And we tell the new client of their new employer, hey, I know we think he's awesome. We still want to hire this person, but here's an area you might want to focus on giving them some support. Because again, that's so powerful. You're making the person better. It's not, they might not hire them because of this, because they love them. They've got that far for a reason.
Pretty scary though, isn't it?
Yes.
Because you don't know what that person's going to say. You think you do, and they might say one thing to you, but it's pretty ballsy. And would you have done that year one?
No, no way.
Journey?
No way. I've gone, oh yeah, pretty good. Maybe a couple of things you could have done better, but nothing that springs to mind.
So I guess at what stage do you develop that confidence or that belief where you can go, yeah, call who you like, do what you need to do?
I don't know. Again, it's different phases. Towards the end of our career in our previous employer, I probably still wasn't confident enough to do it then. And then when we made the jump and started Harwell, probably went back in terms of confidence in a sense. It was only when we got the runs on the board and kind of found our groove and started building a business and getting the good feedback from the market that we actually start to reflect and go, okay, we're doing a good job here.
As you're saying that, then I'm thinking about video testimonials. Like if you haven't already kind of figured out, we're going pretty heavy on the content at the moment, the social media. That's why we're hiring the full-time social media. That's why we've got Jimmy helping us as well. It's why we're breaking up the brands. And I guess talking about evergreen content rather than one client getting calls every time you want to work with a new company and they're the only person they're calling, they probably get a bit pissed off. So maybe even getting a video testimonial. That's a bit evergreen where you can just send that, hey, here's Mr. Client who I did X, Y, Z for. Here's what their experience was. So maybe that's something that we probably need to get better at ourselves, put an opportunity for someone in real estate, someone who's a chippy, someone who's, I'm trying to think whatever serves, a hairdresser. Like it could be anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to think as well, because this is all great ideas for the seller, right? How can they make themselves look more appealing? I'm trying to think of the consumer here. So say you are stuck between 3 brokers. What's the solution there? I guess maybe it's just ask for feedback. Say, hey, is there anyone I can speak to that you've had good results for? Or is there any testimonials you've had? Is that a good piece of advice, do you think?
I think so, yeah. Who's in a similar boat to me? I'm a newlywed couple, no kids, and I want to upsize for a future family. Who have you helped who is in my shoes that I can go and speak to and ask some pretty honest questions to?
Yeah, even if you're doing a renovation at your home, asking the builder or the sparky or the plumber, what other similar projects have you done to this? Have you, or similar to this? Have you got any pictures I could look at? What was the process? Was there any things that came up in the process that you didn't expect that did surprise you? Because you get them helping as much as well, and I think it helps you make your decision and factor in things like budget.
I think it's so powerful, this stuff, because you never really get taught how to buy.
No.
You get taught how to sell if you're in a role like we are, but you never really get taught how to buy and what question you can actually ask on the buying side to get the better result at the end and essentially reverse sell to the person you're speaking to, right? If you don't do a discovery on them, maybe tell me about your business journey. Tell me about what you've done. Tell me about the ideal customer for you. You know, tell me about the ideal, I guess, products that you like to sell. Who do you like to help best? There's probably a little bit of power in that as well, is what questions can someone have up the sleeve to ask their supplier, whatever it might be, to gauge them.
Yeah, because I think they don't expect you to do that. They're coming into this meeting, they're in sell mode, they're on, right? They've got a plan. I think if you start asking questions like this, it probably disrupts their momentum and you probably start to see their authentic self or the real them, which again is great because you break down the barriers and go, do I actually like this guy? Can I work with him? So I think there's some real power in that.
That's gold.
Well done, mate.
I think that's a pretty good one.
Is that everything? That's 5 points, isn't it?
That's 5 points.
So what do we talk about? We spoke about discovery, values, price versus cost, generalist versus specialist, and then proof and testimonials. They'd be the big things that you can kind of dig into, whether you're selling or whether you're buying.
I reckon if you got that nailed, if you really, depends what kind of personality type you are, right? If you're someone who's very analytical and wants a step-by-step, you could probably build your own little framework for any time you do go and engage someone of a service, whether that's the hairdresser or whether that's your renovation company. These are the questions you ask. I'd say the increase and the improvement will be massive with the end result you get.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Q&A time, mate.
Q&A time.
Let's go.
So I haven't actually seen these questions.
Oh, great. This is good. This is going to be live.
I reckon you do one, I'll do one, and then we'll double team one of them. Or do you want to just both answer?
I reckon we both answer. We'll probably have differing opinions.
So true.
First one of our favorite topics. So we talk a lot about imposter syndrome. And I think it was Reese actually sent this one in. And he says, when you hit the level of feeling imposter syndrome and obviously feeling, hang on, I've butchered this. I've done it again. So he says, you talk a lot about imposter syndrome. When you hit that level and feel that feeling of imposter syndrome, what do you do or what have you done to move through that feeling and deal with the fact that you probably don't feel at that level yet?
Great question. And I guess we can only speak from our own experience here, but I guess reflection is probably the best one. I think you only feel like an imposter syndrome when you're trying to get to a new level, rather than if you just like right now, if you went back to grade 6, you probably wouldn't feel imposter syndrome, right? Because you know you can do it, you've been there and done it before. It's only when you're trying something new, which I think is powerful in itself. So probably that reflection piece of, I do feel like a bit of imposter. I can easily not if I just don't want to try and test myself. So probably leaning into it and going, what do I need to learn? What skills do I need to acquire? What knowledge do I need to gain to then be at the level of the room that I'm in?
Yeah, okay. So you're flipping it straight away and looking at the positive side. Okay, if I feel like I've got imposter syndrome, it means I'm growing.
Hang on.
Yeah. My take on it would be, I think Stephen Bartlett said this, is that imposter syndrome will never, ever, ever go away. It's actually a trait of some of the most successful people in the world. Because when you feel like an imposter, I think you're more self-aware and you put more focus on what you're doing and the detail. And once you hit that new level and you become comfortable at that level as a business owner, for example, when you start to hire a team, you find a new level of imposter syndrome and then you build the team and you might come off the tools and become a CEO and it's a new thing there. And There's a new level of imposter syndrome. So I think it's a blessing in disguise. Tying back into what you said, it's growth, but at the same time, it never goes away. So I don't think you can beat it. And when I flip my mindset into that, of it's never, ever going to go away, you become more comfortable with it.
I'm thinking directly, say if you felt that right now and you're in a room, being vulnerable. No one who has ever achieved anything in life punches down or looks down on people who are having a crack. So I think I'm picturing this, right? You're in a big room full of people at a conference and you're going, shit, I do not belong to be here. I think it's even tap the fella next to you and go, mate, can I just share? Like, this is the first time I've done something like this. I've obviously got so much to learn. What did you do on your first time? Or what are some things you can help me so I can settle the nerves? That person you're speaking to is only going to go out of their way to help you. They'll probably end up being your best mate for the day. They'll be dragging you to the lunch with them because everyone knows what it feels like to be that person. So I think the power of being vulnerable and just owning that and getting over your own ego where you want other people to think that you're this successful businessman or whatever the role is, that's answer one.
Yeah, it's permission to be nervous, for example. You're talking in front of a large group for the first time. It's the first thing you say, hey guys, I've actually never done this before. I am bricking myself, but here goes. And straight away, you haven't got that pressure of people thinking you need to be this elite public speaker because you've dealt with the elephant in the room and you then relax.
And I think the audience then get behind you as well. Similar to my story about the fella that sat next to you there, the audience want you then to win because they are sat there going, fuck, thank God it's not me on stage because I'm shitting myself for him.
Yeah.
So I think that power of being vulnerable is massive.
Perfect. Question number 2. I think this was from the big man, Rory.
Nice.
What do you think was the biggest behavioural change that you had to make when you went from you lads in Adam's spare room into business and now leading your team?
After you, mate.
I think it's the shift in mindset that it's no longer about us or me. It's about the bigger picture. So where sometimes it's just about us, it's easy to fly off the handle or burn a client. We've never done that, but those sorts of decisions, we're now responsible for Andy and his sponsorship. We're responsible for Chloe and her mortgage. Lance, has got bills and a life she needs to pay for. So it's not just us anymore. So I think it's having that mentality, almost that family style way to look at it without letting them get away with absolute murder. That was probably the biggest shift for me, and just noticing change a lot more or trying to pick up on things within the business.
I'd go more down the route of you've got to lead by example.
Yeah.
If we come in here on a Monday morning and we're slouchy, we're yawning our head off, we don't want to be here, there's no way in the world anyone's going to have their best day because of that impact we're going to have on the team. We've changed our lifestyle a lot over these last 18, 20 months. One, because we needed to ourselves, but two, because we need to lead the way for the team and we need to show the behaviors during the week of what the level is. Again, it's our business, right? Of course, we're going to put a bit more in because we get more out at the end of the day. But if we can't lead and show them what the level is, there's no way anyone's ever going to get there. So I think behavior-wise, being fit, making sure we've got the energy, getting to bed early, doing that, eating well, making sure you do all those things outside of work. So when you are here, you can operate at the absolute max and bring people for the journey. Because I think it's that old saying about if you shoot for the moon, you land amongst the stars.
Yeah.
Right. And that's normally what happens with your team. We'll shoot for the moon, we'll get pretty close, but the team, they'll get to the stars, right? And the journey is then to build them up a bit further up and over time as well. So unless we're doing it, living and breathing it, even doing this podcast, right? Like I know we spoke earlier about the high performance one. Imagine being sat here now, but we're on the piss Friday, Saturday, Sunday, eating Macca's, KFC all day, every day, rocking up late to work, leaving early, pulling sickies, half-assing it. And then we're trying to tell people about what high performance is. You're just a fraud.
Yeah. I was laughing then as you were talking, because one thing, and it's kind of an answer to this question as well, in terms of as we became business leaders and it was bigger than just us recruiting, we had to decide what our roles were and who you were as a leader compared to me. And we obviously came to the conclusion I'm probably more the people manager, the people trainer, the nurturer, and my reasoning or my answer to this question went straight to that, whereas yours was more so lead by example, kind of follow what I do in terms of my process and the level, and that's where you went straight to with your answer.
That was really good, by the way, what we did there. Bit of context. So we were a team of 6, 7, 8, whatever it was at the time, and we're going, where do we go here? Do we go to a team of 30? Do we stay as we are and just lean up? What's the pros and cons of each? And I don't really enjoy managing people. I don't like being the guy who goes, oh, you haven't done enough calls today, you know. It just drains energy from me. So I was a bit scared of growing to this massive team of people who probably aren't at the level we'd actually choose, but we need a bum on the seat because we've got a plan where we need 20 people. Right. So that was a big fear for me, and coming in and not enjoying the work and being surrounded by people who are all in. But on the flip side of that, if you're not growing, you're going backwards, right? Because everyone else is around you. So we did a lot of work on that and figured out if we are going to grow, what responsibility goes on to who. And yeah, we kind of got to you being more the CEO type. You know, if there's not personal issues, but if there's issues with, you know, your life or well-being and stuff, yes, come speak to both of us, but really hard as your point of contact there. If you need a bit of recruitment training, right? You need to know how to handle this issue with a client. If you need to know what your day structure would look like, then kind of come to me. And I think it works for both our superpowers.
Yeah, that's powerful. The last question is by far my favorite question. It's from Luke Cundy. Would you rather fight 100 horse-sized ducks or one duck-sized horse?
He absolutely butchered that, didn't he?
Absolutely. We both kind of read it and we're like, one duck-sized horse sounds pretty easy. And 100 horse-sized ducks is actually fucking terrifying.
That's quite scary.
Yeah. So maybe Luke should continue listening to this and high performance so he gets his questions right. But yeah, that was one of my favourite ones, so I had to put it in the top 3.
Yeah, definitely the duck-sized horse plays for me.
Good stuff. Well, on that absolute fucking golden piece of advice, that's us for this week. Hope you enjoyed this one. And who have we got next week, mate? You don't know. I think it's the big man Tucky.
There we go. That's going to be a cracker.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one where we dive into discovery because that's his bread and butter. That's his baby.
Yeah, absolutely. He will change your life. I think we had him on the last podcast and we spoke a lot about his journey, and it was really powerful because I think there's a lot of lessons. So when you're down and out and quite literally sleeping on a lilo in your mate's bathroom with 31 cents in his bank account to now, you know, I think he was on Necker Island with Richard Branson and some of the most incredible people in the world. That was one hell of a journey, but we really dig into what he does and kind of how it can affect your life and impact your life.
That's it. I think this whole season and episode, all the episodes we've guessed so far has been, yes, what's the context to what you're about to tell me, but what can I implement today? What are some of the tips, tricks, hacks? What do you live by that I can implement to make my life better? So Tucky's going to come with an absolute bucket load of them.
Yeah, can't wait.
See you next week.